Hi guys! So as most of you know, I normally do the work training sessions, but unfortunately I'm all out of pipes and I don't have any nip combs at home. So instead I thought, why don't I show you a very simple recipe to make some honey oat biscuits. It's a lovely day, I felt like baking, so I figured, well, let me show you how it's done. It's a very simple recipe. It was given to me by a friend. It's very easy to do, and I'm not a very good baker, but even I can do it. So I think if I can do it, then I'm sure you guys can too. So let's get started. First of all, your ingredients, what you'll need for this recipe is some flour. So I've already put flour in my bowl. You need 75 grams of flour. You can use self-rising or normal flour, it doesn't matter. Then you need 75 grams of porridge oats, breakfast oats, so just plain healthy oats. And you need 75 grams of caster sugar, so there it is. And then you need 75 grams of butter, and you need your honey, obviously, because it's honey oat. So the honey, the recommended recipe amount is a tablespoon, but it's pretty much up to you. You can do a little bit less or a little bit more depending how much you want the honey flavor to come through. And then last of all, just some milk. So again, you can use normal regular cow's milk, you could use oat milk, you could use soy milk, almond milk, whatever milk you prefer. It all works. So that's all your ingredients done. And then the method, first off, we're going to preheat the oven. So you have to preheat your oven to 180 degrees. So I'm going to get that started. Okay, so oven is preheating. Then you can start off mixing all of your dry ingredients together. So we're going to mix the flour, the oats, pop those in there, and caster sugar. So we'll put that all together in a bowl. Ideally, when you do, if you do the recipe yourself, you want to sift the flour into your bowl first. So I did that before I started videoing, because otherwise we'd be here for a while. It's not very fun to watch. So now that we've got all of our dry ingredients in the bowl, we're going to melt our butter and mix it with the milk and the honey in a pot or a pan. So let's get that on the stove, and you don't need to turn it up too high. So we're going to put our butter in there, and I think what we'll do is we're going to let the butter melt, and then we'll add our honey and our milk. And once it's melted and mixed together, we can add it into our bowl with our dry ingredients. Okay, so my butter is melting nicely. So I'm going to add the milk, and it says in the recipe to add a tablespoon of milk. So I'm going to do that. Just check, milk smells okay. Okay. There's my milk done. And then we're going to add the honey. And again, it's a tablespoon of honey, but I really like honey, so I'm probably going to be a bit generous with my tablespoon. You want to add that all together, and then just mix it around until the butter is completely melted. Guys, please remember, if you do want to try and make this recipe, make sure that you ask either a family member or a staff member or any sort of support that you have to help, because using a stove and an oven can be dangerous. You have to be very careful. So if you do have someone that can help you, that would be good. And you always want to be very careful when you're making anything in the kitchen. Okay, so that's nice and melted. So I'm going to turn the stove off. Okay, and then once we've done that, we can add your melted butter, honey and milk into your dry ingredients. So add that all together, and then we've got to mix this. Now for the fun part. So I'm going to use my finger. Oh, I did wash my hands before I did this. Very important thing to remember. Always wash your hands when you're baking or cooking. So I'm going to mix this up with my hands so that I can start to make up my biscuits. Okay. So the next step is going to be making up the biscuits and putting them on a baking tray to go in the oven. So I've got 2 baking trays that I've already set up with some baking paper on them. So any sort of baking parchment or paper, so that the cookies, so the biscuits won't stick to your pans. So that looks like it's mixed very nicely. Okay. So I'm going to get my baking trays. And now all you want to do is shape your biscuits into little rounds and put them on your baking trays. So you can decide how big you want them or how small you want them. So you just want to get a little ball. It's your choice how big you want to make it. And pop that on the tray. And just press it down. Alright guys, so once you put your biscuits on the tray, put it in the oven, and then you leave it in the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes. I timed it for 10 and then checked on them, decided they needed a few minutes more, put them in for a little bit longer, and they are now ready. So just keep an eye on them, but roughly 10 to 15 minutes. Then once you're done, you can get the tray out the oven. And you'll be able to see that your biscuits are nice and golden coloured. So there they are. Mine are quite big actually. So you want them to be nice and golden, and you're just going to let them sit and cool down before you try to eat any. And that's it. And then you've got some really yummy honey oat biscuits that you can have with your tea. So I hope that everyone is doing well and everyone's happy and healthy and staying safe. And if you have some time and you want to try make some honey oat biscuits, then here's a recipe. And yeah, so everyone look after yourself, stay safe, and we'll see you soon.